Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today, together with Fivos and Zoe. I'm from WWF Netherlands, and this is part of a Dam Removal Europe initiative that is funded from Open Rivers Program. It's part of a project to scale up barrier removal in Southeastern Europe. We are joined by Zoe Makridou. She has a background in zoology and biodiversity conservation. She's head of Environment Protection and Conservation Program from Terra Cypria. Hello, Zoe. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. And thanks so much for this opportunity to talk to you.
Yes.
And share about our project.
Yes, we're looking forward to hearing all about what you're doing in Cyprus. You're in the car. We see you in the car. We were just talking to you before we went live, and you were saying that it was super hot outside. You also had some visitors, some sheep passing you. But of course, we want to see you, what's happening. But before we go and see the sites, please tell us, Zoe, your organization and how you guys got involved with barrier removal.
Yeah, first of all, apologies for the fact that I am in the car. It's very hot, and also the connection is not super if I sit under the shade close to the river. So, but hopefully I'll show you around in any case. So yes, I work for Terra Cypria, the Cyprus Conservation Foundation. It operates since 1992. It is a non-profit, non-governmental organization here in Cyprus. We operate through three pillars. The first one is environmental education. We have an environmental education center where thousands of students visit every year. We do a lot of policy action work. We push for more environmentally sustainable decisions to be taken at all levels. And we do also implementation of conservation programs, habitat restoration programs, monitoring for several species and habitats. Terra Cypria has expertise in wetland management and monitoring. The organization has created the first wetland inventory in Cyprus. But for this specific project that it's about barrier removals, we have partnered up with Frederick Research Center. It's a center that they have expertise in habitats there, in the Habitats Directive, as well as the Water Framework Directive. So together we have applied and we were awarded a recently awarded project called Phragmographysis. This project is funded by the Open Rivers program. The two organizations, Terra Cypria and Frederick Research Center, we have expertise together in river ecology, stakeholder engagement, monitoring riparian and aquatic ecosystems. So we have worked together in the past, decided to take this project together. Okay. Frederick is actually leading the project. Okay. So yeah, that's
nice. And what made you guys say, okay, let's work on dam removal? Where was the motivation?
Well, it's open rivers and the concept of rivers without any barriers. It's a quite new concept for Cyprus. We do have quite a few river catchments, yet all of them have some fragments. So some barriers within them. Therefore, it was a good opportunity to actually start from one of them, which is probably one of the most important ones, and to create a project that it will set down some methodologies, some frameworks that later on we will be able to replicate these and apply this to other areas as well.
Okay, so we want to see what you're talking about.
Okay.
You say this is one of the important catchments that you really want to prioritize. Let's have a look, see what is there in Cyprus.
Okay, so a few information before I get out of the car, and therefore lose a bit the connection. I am at the Arizos River catchment. It is about 278 square kilometers of the catchment. It's around 109 kilometers of river network. It extends from coniferous forests upstream until agricultural lands further downstream. And it is one very important area because also it overlaps 4 different Natura 2000 areas. So it is quite important for several species that are of European importance, as well as for species like the critically endangered eel, Aguila aguila. It is the only indigenous fish population here in Cyprus, and the Adesus River, it is one of its habitats. Therefore, the Adesus River, I will mention again that it's quite important. At the moment, a quite midstream section of the catchment. I'm surrounded by agricultural land. I'll get out just to make sure that the connection is good. This is a culvert. You can't really see it from here. You can only see maybe a road.
Yes, we see a road.
So this is a functioning. It's a road that still has a function today. As you mentioned before, sheep were passing before, but also people with cars pass all the time because it's locals that they want to head towards their fields. That you can see that they're in front of us. So this is a culvert, and I'll try to go upstream.
Yeah,
So,
and also for the viewers, you can also see in my background, you can see a really nice screenshot of the culverts. I just need to get my head out the way so you can see both sides of the barrier. So what are we seeing now, Zoe?
so this is the upstream view of the culvert. I don't know if you can see that here are the holes.
Yes.
So, as you can see, there is because of the barrier here, because of this culvert, there is a lot of sediment deposition here and this indicates that there is reduced flow velocity of the river because of this barrier, and then this here is the downstream. But because it might be difficult to understand what's going on, I'll just move down there. I'll go down.
It's the ramp, yes, so we can have a better look. Yes.
Just give me a second.
Okay. So yes, so we can see the ramp that's in the photograph in my background. And so you're going down so we can see.
I'm going down and being really careful because there are vipers in the area, and it would be unfortunate to be beaten on a live event.
You pardon, what did you say? You have been bitten or you don't want to be bitten? Oh no, so
no, I don't want to.
You don't want to be, no, exactly.
So can you see here the
yes, perfect.
No.
Perfect. Yes.
So this is a downstream view of the barrier. As you can see, there is visibly a lot of erosion and a 2-meter drop of the water. And I know that many of you might be used to much bigger barriers in Europe within rivers. However, this is a proof that even a small one like this one can actually have impact within the continuity of the river, and it can actually disturb a lot the natural river processes.
Hey, Zoe, we don't hear you very well. I think maybe it's because of the water disrupting your audio.
Maybe I'll go just tap again. Yeah. Oh, tell me.
Can you repeat that last bit that you were talking about?
I said that even though this is a much smaller barrier compared to what you might be used to in Europe, in your rivers, it's still proof that a small barrier like this one can still have considerable impact on the river continuity as well as the river processes.
And are there many such barriers in the area that look similar to this?
We're still quite early in our fieldwork, so I can't really get to you and reply to you on this specific one. But yeah, there are quite a few. I mean, from the ones that I have seen so far, there are quite a few.
Yeah. And in terms of your plans, because it's a road, do you plan to ultimately remove this barrier completely, or would it remain a road and that you then have an open to open the connectivity of this culvert? How do you see the mitigation?
So yeah, as I have said, because this project has only recently started, at the moment, what we are doing is basically trying to record all the barriers that we find, and afterwards, based on several factors, we will try to decide on which ones are actually the obsolete ones, and which ones are they might have a disproportionate impact on the environment. And based on this information, we will decide on which ones we will prioritize for any conservation or restoration actions. But yes, as you have already said, that this is definitely one that is being used. So I can say that it's probably not going to be completely removed. Probably some kind of restoration actions might be proposed for this one. But this also depends on which are the other ones that are going on. But this is exactly what we're trying to do with this specific project. We will try to understand each one of them, understand what would be their social impact, understand which ones are technically feasible, socially feasible to be removed, and which ones will have the greatest ecological impact to have some actions in that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to go back to the car, maybe it will be easier for you to chat a little bit. We would love to hear a little bit more about the project. You talked about that you have this ORP project where you're going to identify and prioritize. So it would be really nice to hear a little bit about your prioritization methodologies, what data you want to collect, and how you will. What are your plans for carrying out this project?
Okay. Just tell me if everything is okay now and I'm back full connection mode.
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, so our project is called Phragmographysis. It's actually inspired by two Greek words, phragmos, which means barrier, and then we have graphysis, which means cartographysis, which means mapping. And it's essentially the aim of this project is to actually map the barriers within this river catchment. What we will do is basically walk along this river network and find all the barriers that we can identify. We will use a standardized set of, we will record standardized set of field data to understand and the technical characteristics of each one of these barriers, as well as the ecological importance of the area of where the barrier is, and what are the impacts of this specific barrier in terms of its connectivity or the sediment transport that might be impacted. So we will gather this information. At the same time, parallel to this data that we will gather in the field, we will engage with stakeholders, relevant stakeholders. These might be governmental authorities, it might be local councils, landowners, and general land users to understand, to verify ownership status, to understand a little bit their views, to understand if they're supportive, to understand if they have concerns, So this is going to be happening parallel to gather all the information for each of these barriers. And all the information will be uploaded into an online database, and we will have online maps as well of all the barriers and the information that we gathered for each one of them. And then we will apply a prioritization framework that through this one, we will be able to identify 5 barriers.
Photos dropping.
So yeah, to understand a little bit on which ones are the ones that they will have the greatest impact, but at the same time be feasible to be removed.
Yes, yes. And tell me this, the prioritization methodology, are you following a methodology from somebody else, or how are you proceeding with that?
I think we are following a similar methodology as other countries, but we have adapted it into the Cypriot data, into the Cypriot environment.
Yes, yes.
So what we are, I'll try to remember the protocol that we do to remember. So we are using a standardized set of all the field data, and we gather information for each one of them with a geotagged photo. We have information on what type it is. For example, is it a culvert? Is it a wire? Is it a ford? Like what kind of what type of barrier that is? Then we gather information on its condition, as well as its physical dimensions. We gather information on accessibility. How is it? I mean, if there is a barrier that is very deep in the forest or something, it's going to be really difficult, and maybe more destructive if we decide to to remove if it's not like causing any big impact. And so we are gathering information like this, and what also are the ecological impacts of each one of these barriers, to use then this prioritization framework that will basically rank all of these barriers based on what will be the ecological benefit, what would be the hydromorphological benefit, as well as information like what is going to be the indicated cost of this one to be removed or to have any mitigation actions. And always this is in accordance with the social acceptance as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So speak a little bit about social acceptance. I've heard from, normally I ask in interviews and with people, you know, the number one thing that your recommendation for or your advice to people, and always they say engaging with stakeholders, making sure the community is connected, and of course, if there's social opposition, really discuss with them and engage with the community. So what is your strategies? Have you had any discussions yet? What did they look like? Can you talk to that a little bit?
Generally, the concept of free-flowing rivers is something completely new to Cyprus. So the maybe lack of awareness or the lack of interest for the local people, it was identified from the beginning of the project that was conceptualized as a potential risk. To mitigate this risk, we included stakeholder engagement quite early on from the project. We still haven't had any meetings or discussions with stakeholders that are local, so the local communities, but we are planning to do 2 different workshops with them. We have contacted authorities like the governmental departments and stuff, that they are in accordance, that they're happy with the project to continue and to go on. However, yes, stakeholder engagement is really important from early on, like especially for this kind of projects. And it's important for us that through these stakeholder meetings, we address any concerns that these people might have. It's not, this project doesn't aim to remove barriers just for the sake of removing them. We would like them to be socially feasible. I have learned the hard way that in how important it is to have the local support for any conservation project. It's really important to be for the local people to be early on invested in the projects to make sure that we have their trust, to understand that what we're doing together, and they're going to have benefits from them from any actions. So yeah, it's really important to have their support and their trust in anything we do.
Really love that. And I guess, I don't know Cyprus, I haven't been fortunate enough to visit it, but I imagine there's a lot of history also in Cyprus. And so you do you have also that you have to look at the historical elements of the barriers?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There are definitely some very old bridges that, okay, bridges might not be the longitudinal kind of harsh barriers like this one maybe, but definitely for all the barriers that we will gather, we will try to see if there is some historic impact. There are definitely two on top of my head that I can think of. It's called Chelefos Bridge. One of them, it's quite beautiful, and if you ever come to Cyprus, we would love to take you there to see, as well as Trisenies Bridge. So they are both, I don't want to say from which age, because I might be completely wrong, but they are quite old. So definitely it's something that we will take into consideration for the barriers.
I love that. And tell me, you have spoken also to the benefits, and you also mentioned eel population. Are there any other species, other benefits that you've identified for these barrier removals in the catchment?
Definitely for eels, it's like a priority because, as I have mentioned, I bet all of you might know, or at least most of you might know, that how important it is for eels to be able to move within the rivers, because it's important for their life cycle to move from upstream freshwater ecosystems to further down into the marine ecosystems and then back up. So it's fragmentation for them, it's detrimental. So yeah, for eels, it is a priority, to be able to, if it's not just for removal, but at least do some mitigation measures to allow them to move upstream, and also to make their downstream also easier. We have also populations of brown trout. It is a naturalized population, so it's also important for them. The fact that the whole river catchment is overlaps for different types of Natura 2000 areas, it means that the whole area is really important for many different species, from birds like Bonelli seagull, griffon vulture, but also to smaller ones like an endemic beetle we have, Propomarcus, and also many amphibians, frogs. So definitely removals and restorations can have a potential impact that the river processes will be restored or at least improved, and would allow easier for them to move. Also, as you have seen, especially for this one, the upstream and downstream are really different in terms of habitats. So restoration actions can also help with habitat heterogeneity, which is also quite important. Yeah.
Super. Yeah. So we know, well, we always talk about barrier removal being the silver bullets for restoration, because as you remove the barrier, you don't have to mitigate, you don't have to do measures further on. It really also just cleans out that ecosystem and helps for not only one fish species, but many different species from terrestrial all the way through to aquatic. So yes, amazing. Tell me, you have this project. Are there any other projects on the way, or what else is happening in Cyprus that you can get excited about? Is this, do you think, or like, would this be the kickoff to something bigger? What are your ambitions?
So far, at least to my knowledge, there hasn't been any other systematic project that actually was monitoring them or assessing, recording, and removing any barriers. And there has been, and this is not just because fragments or barriers are not a common theme in the rivers, it's just because any actions has been opportunistic. So basically, I think there has been 2 removals so far, 1 wire and 1 small culvert. They have been removed, but they were removed because of individual efforts. So this is actually, to my knowledge, at least the first project that is doing something more standardized in a national level in the bigger impact. And the fact that we are trying to do the whole project in a standardized way. So, for example, the approach towards the stakeholder engagement or the assessment methodology, it's going to be done in a more standardized way. It will allow us to create a methodological framework that we will be able eventually and hopefully be able to repeat this again and again in other river catchments. So yes, might be a kickoff initiative for the continuation of allowing our rivers to flow freely.
Fantastic. So I love that. I love your conversation with you, hearing about Cyprus, all the cool plans that you have. I wish you all the best of luck. And if people want to know more about your projects, where will they be able to find some information on it?
Yeah, so we haven't set up the website yet, but it's gonna be on its way. But you can definitely find more information on our website of Terra Cypria, but as well as in the Frederick Research Center, you can also find more information about the project.
Fantastic. And I think also Open Rivers program might have something about the project. So yes, so there's that. And then from my side, I thank you again, Zoe, very much. I want to wrap up and thank everybody for listening to this. I hope that it was really informative for all of you. I would like to also highlight that this is one of many live interviews that we've had. Please go check out the other interviews we've had from YouTube. Thanks to Phoevos Moklianatis. He's always behind the scenes, but he coordinates and makes everything smooth and works really wonderful. We also have a newsletter on the Dam Removal Europe website. Go have a look, check it out. Go to our social media pages. Also, keep up to date on what's happening around Europe. From my side, I say goodbye until next time.